welcome to week 15. This week we are in the South Australian Outback. If you spot an animal, please comment below. So we are currently exploring the Flinders Ranges in South Australia. We are currently staying at Alpana station, and by the end of the week we go underground and we experience a town where everything is underground. We have an amazing week exploring gorges which date back millions of years, like 600 million years ago. Absolutely fascinating to be once again walking the same footpath as dinosaurs. We even end up going fossicking this week, and we all require a fossicking license. Stay tuned to see what happened and if we struck it rich. So bear with me as I try to pronounce some of these scientific words. So Bonny Sandstone is an Ediacaran sandstone formation. It is above the Wanoka Formation and below the Rawnsley Quartzite. It's commonly red iron-stained sandstone, which is shallow, tidal and near shore environments, but of course this area has not seen rain for millions of years. So some of this sandstone dates between 650 million to 800 million years ago. That's a long time ago. So the Ediacaran sandstone is between 635 to 541 million years. The younger sandstone, which is from the Cambrian period, is between 440 to 500 million years ago. After providing the boys with a geology lesson, we then headed off to Parinchilla so they could eat some beasties. We are talking about camel, emu and kangaroo. Like I said in previous videos, whilst we are travelling around this great country of ours, we are trying as many new foods as possible. It is fair enough to say I did not partake in this tasting lesson. The boys seemed to like it and there was no complaints from any of them. Hubby happily finished it all off, what the boys did not eat, and I happily just did not eat anything because I did not trust a thing that was on the menu, even though there was your usual fare. Afterwards it was back to geology and off to Parinchilla Gorge. Let me try that again. Parinchilla Gorge. So the sandstone in this gorge is just as old as the other gorge. So, we're looking at another 500 million years ago. It is hard to believe that millions of years ago, this was all covered in water. Amazing to think that such a thing could happen. Look how dry it is. So at Alpana station, there is a hut that you can stay in. We were lucky enough to be able to get a look inside. How amazing is this old building? I would love to stay here if we could have that opportunity. You just imagine the rain on the tin roof or sitting out on the veranda just watching the world go by. How absolutely relaxing. Check out the spectacular views from the hut. So the Alpana station does have shower facilities on ensuite sites. All these sites had been used while we were staying. On the last day, the people left, so we paid to use one of the showers because the boys needed a good scrub down before our next drive to the next town of Port Augusta. Check out our map so far. We are making our way slowly across this great country of ours. So next up on the list of places to go was Port Augusta, where we needed to fill up on water, buy food and find somewhere to do laundry. So we decided to stay at a caravan park with all these facilities. So we had a few days of catching up on schoolwork, plus 4 loads of laundry, and just some relaxed time and enjoying being plugged into power and having running water. And as you can see, the boys are very busy doing artwork and other school activities, learning about rainforests, even though we are in the desert. And on that note, we went to the arid botanic gardens so the boys could learn about the arid climate and how it affects plants. Botanic Gardens was quite an educational visit for the boys. It's quite different from all the other botanical gardens that we have visited, and we did have a discussion about the comparisons of the different types of botanic gardens. Then we headed off to an education centre called the Wadlata Centre, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct, which also covers things like rainforests and going into more depth about the gorges that we went to, and it just has a mixture of different type of historical things, nature things, a great educational centre. Please note that the shirts that the boys are wearing are the ones that they were rewarded with after trying out those beasties, the emu, the camel and the kangaroo. In previous videos, the boys have learnt how to use Morse code, but this one was pedal power, a completely different experience. Next up, they had a section on the Royal Flying Doctor story, which we hope to cover in more depth when we visit Alice Springs and go to the RFDS Museum. So there you go, you have an indication of which direction we are heading. We are heading up through the centre of Australia, not heading towards the east coast. So, of course, our next stop is the deep outback. We are heading to underground. First of all, we had to pass some salt plains, so once again we stopped to have a look at the salt plains. On the way to Coober Pedy, we decided to stop at Woomera. There's a lot to say about Woomera. If you know anything about Australian history, there is a dark past where Woomera was the home of the detention centre for immigrants to Australia. Who knows if they were actually legal or illegal immigrants. Woomera is also home to the RAAF base. So this base and the detention centre are closed to the public, of course, but what is open is the Missile Park, which was a lot of fun for the boys. Woomera Missile Park is free and it's open to the public. It's outside. It's a unique open-air display of rockets and missiles in the small outback town of Woomera. It's one of the easiest ways to see Australia's role in early rocket and space testing, right in the middle of the desert. It has real missiles, rockets and test vehicles. Some of the standout exhibits include the Blue Streak, which is a large British missile tested at Woomera in the 1950s and 60s. The Black Knight, which was used for high altitude and re-entry experiments. The Skylark, which is a scientific rock for upper atmosphere research. So Woomera was one of the major rocket testing sites during the Cold War, established in the 1940s. It was a joint project between the United Kingdom and Australia. It was used for missile development, space research and satellite launches. Another fun fact is you can also find some geocaches here. It's open all day, every day, no cost. We even drove past the Woomera Detention Centre. Quite disturbing. Then we stopped at the famous Kokatha sign. No idea how you pronounce that. This is one of those must-do stops. So this sign is located just outside of town. It is referring to the Kokatha people of Woomera. Next stop was Lake Hart, which is a salt plain, and this is where the Garn travels through, as you shall see. The Garn travels 2,979 kilometres north to south, from Adelaide to Darwin, crossing through the beautiful salt plain. It stops at places like Alice Springs and Katherine. It passes through the Flinders Ranges, the Red Desert and the tropical top end. So, next up we go underground and stay at Coober Pedy. Who has stayed at Coober Pedy? Have you ever stayed underground? Well, of course, our caravan has to stay above ground, but the caravan park's facilities are all underground. The games room, the reception, the common areas, they're all underground. Do you know why? Coober Pedy has accommodation underground and all their buildings underground? Comment below. Coober Pedy is one of those most unusual towns in Australia. It's famous for opal mining and its underground lifestyle in the middle of the outback. The place looks really weird above ground. So it is known as the opal capital of the world. It was discovered in 1915. It produces a huge share of the world's precious opal. The name comes from an Aboriginal term meaning roughly white man in a hole, which makes great sense when you see the place. Many homes, hotels and even churches are built underground in what is known as dugouts. The reason for this is because we are in the outback desert, where outside temperatures can hit plus 45 degrees all year round. So to stay cool, people go underground where it is like 23 to 25 degrees Celsius, people, not Fahrenheit. So people come and grab a fossicking license and then they set up shop using old things like buses and tents and whatever just to do some fossicking. The town also has lots of other weird structures from movies. Many a movie has been set here, including Mad Max, Priscilla Queen of the Desert, Pitch Black, to name a few. And some of these movies have left their props just lying around unattended. So another fun thing about Coober Pedy is that it has lots of churches of various denominations, probably because of all the different people that came here to try and struck it rich finding opal. So you will notice that with all the various churches and shops and houses, they all have these air vents so that people can get some natural air from way above back up where the land is. So, like I said, Coober Pedy was built on immigrant population, hence all the churches. We had great fun going in visiting all these underground churches and shops. So going back to all these churches, there's a Serbian Orthodox church, there's a Catacomb church, which is the Catholic church, there's St. Peter's and St. Paul's Anglican church, and I'm sure there were more churches. Please note that there is an Indigenous population or First Nations people, or if for those that still don't know what I'm talking about, the Aboriginal people of Australia live here in Coober Pedy. Some live in town, some live out in their own communities. Please be respectful of these people. This is their home, this is their town. You'll find a lot of these people running the shops and so forth, and please say hi and support the local community. We had lots of fun exploring the town and all the different churches. We even found an underground bookstore, which the boys thought was quite interesting. There are also lots of mining tours to be had here for opals. You can also get a fossicking license if you wish to go opal hunting. Please be respectful as people have their own claims and you cannot go do mining in someone else's claim. One of the main reasons that we did decide to stop in Coober Pedy was so that the boys could visit Josephine's Kangaroo Orphanage. A lot of kangaroos get hit by trucks and cars out here. It's just the way it is. And so these kangaroos need to be rehabilitated and cared for. A lot of the mother kangaroos get hit by cars. And so please, if you do see a kangaroo on the side of the road, if it is safe to do so, pull over and check their pouch. It is very important because there are usually babies in the mother's pouch. And this is why this orphanage, this sanctuary, is so important. This is where they are looked after and rehabilitated. Some cannot return to the wild. So, another fun thing and unusual thing to do in Coober Pedy is to visit the drive-in movie theatres. Who remembers drive-in movie theatres way back in the good old days? Comment below if you know what a drive-in movie theatre is, and comment if you've even visited one. So, drive-in movie theatre is literally you drive in with your car, park, and watch the movie. Of course you have to pay an entry like any other movie cinema. The movie sound is wired to your car radio. Of course, you can't come to Coober Pedy without fossicking for opal. In South Australia, you require a fossicking license. It is the law, so do not start digging unless you have a fossicking license. There are many places in town where you can obtain one. Please be mindful of other people's claims, as you cannot fossick on someone else's claim. There are dedicated areas for visitors to Coober Pedy who wish to mine for opals. Sad to say, we did not struck it rich. Opal is a gemstone famous for its shifting rainbow colours called play of colour. Coober Pedy is one of the world's main sources for opal. It's a form of hydrated silica, basically tiny silica spheres and water. It's not a crystal like quartz, more like a hardened gel over time. Coober Pedy has its own Hollywood sign because lots of movies were filmed here, as previously mentioned. You can drive around town and find bits and pieces of movie sets left behind. One of those sets is here from Pitch Black. Coober Pedy is also home to some big things, including the Big Winch and the Big Miner. See if you can drive around town and find all these fun things. So you are looking for movie sets, a big winch, and a big miner. And of course, why not? Let's just chuck in another mine tour. So we, on this lap, have done an iron ore tour, a coal tour, and I'm sure I've forgotten the other mining tours that we have done. So let's just add in an opal tour. Lots of different mining that we have exposed the boys to in different parts of Australia. If anyone has been paying attention and realised I've forgotten one of the mining tours that we have done, please comment below to remind me. So of course we would choose a mining tour that I cannot pronounce. So here we go again. Woomera Opal Mine. Let's see. It's one of the best places in Coober Pedy to understand opal mining. It's a restored underground opal mine. So it would have been established in the 1900s, not long after opal was discovered in Coober Pedy in 1915. There is more than one opal mining tour in Coober Pedy. Just choose one and go for it. Here is the Big Miner, a tribute to all the miners and immigrants that came to Coober Pedy to try and struck their fortune. Here is the view from our caravan park. What a lovely sunset this is. A truly spectacular view here in the outback overlooking the desert. Thanks for joining us this week. If you have spotted an animal, please comment below. Next week we head off to the Northern Territory. We say goodbye to South Australia. Please note, we have a fun fact for you. Thanks for joining us, and let's see where we head to next week. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out with us.